Okay, so thank you very much for attending today's class. So this session was actually private before with all the new bhaktas from India. So today we'll be trying in this way, and if we have some requests that we keep doing this, then we'll be having two different time slots. So one for the young Prabhus in India, and not just India, there's a few other countries also, the young bhaktas, and maybe we can continue doing this session also on a proper day. So we will be starting with the Mangala Charanam. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjalashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupah Kadamayam Dadati Svapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutam Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunantam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deven Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so a small question. When I share my screen like this, do you only see my screen or you also see the camera?
Both.
You see both, huh? Okay. All right. Okay, so today's topic was what was it that I said? The futility, right? Let me see. Yes. So the futility of material existence, universal dreamland. So why this topic? Why try to understand that this material life is painful? Because this is the ABC, you see. This is the very beginning. We must start by understanding what is the position of the souls in this material world. So this is a lot. What Prabhupada spoke a lot, especially in the Western world, was to try to discourage people to pursue their lifestyle, the modern so-called advancement of civilization. All impetus for actions is to seek pleasure. This is all what we want. Any living entity, whether it be human beings, whether it be birds, beasts, lizards, it doesn't not matter. It's simply seeking this pleasure. We're seeking for something. No one can deny that. There's not one living entity that is not carrying an activity with a desire to achieve something, achieve satisfaction. So whether it be an ant, just like we have an ant problem here in our house. They come, we're the top floor, we're the 11th floor, above is the rooftop. So there are some neighbors who, they plant trees, so there's a lot of soil. So they come into the kitchen sometimes, into our kitchen, of course, I don't take this very seriously, but they come and they try to find like some honey or whatever it is. There was a pot of honey at one point and they were coming in. So much endeavor is there, although they're very little ant and they have to walk a lot. They also have a drive. They also have a goal. Try to get the satisfaction. So this is the very impetuous for everything. And this is the actual goal of creation. Why is there something in the first place? Why the world exists in the first place? It's because we want pleasure. That's the whole point. So this, nobody can deny this, whether you say atheist or non-believer or impersonalist or personalist. Everybody is craving after something. The thing is, the difference of opinion happens when we try to understand where to look for. So, of course, we all know that Prabhupada has often told us that there's the karmis, there's the jnanis, yogis, and the bhaktas. So, this is amongst human beings, but even animals, they're also seeking. Everybody who's been in contact with some animals, you can see that they're also people. If someone has got a brain, he can understand that there's consciousness inside and that they seek pleasure. Just like before being, trying to become a devotee, I often was in touch with some dogs, and I used to like dogs, to play with dogs, because they really are close to human beings. They really get attached. So I still remember, like in Canada, it snows in winter. So there was a dog living in my neighbor's courtyard. So I was maybe seven years old or so. So he wanted to cross, to dig a tunnel to come beneath the fence and play with me. So I really wanted to play with him also. And he would come sometimes, the owner would not know, he would come and we would play. So me and that dog. So I was considering him like my friend, I was not making much distinction that he was a dog. He was just a friend. So the body might be different, but the spark within the body, the spirit soul is there. Even one time, because sometimes we tend to have a mentality of dog they're dirty and all. Yeah, it's a fact, dogs are dirty, but it's not that we have to spit on them, So one time there was those two kittens that were rolling. Prabhupada was sitting, and the devotees were nearby, and those two kittens were rolling and playing, and then they rolled up and they kind of landed on Prabhupada's laps. So then a devotee that was next to Prabhupada was thinking, oh my God, cats touch Prabhupada, what to do? So then Prabhupada just started to pet them. He was rubbing their head like this. And then he said, just see, even here there is love. So, of course, Prabhupada, always Krishna conscious, always in pure love of God, he was pointing out that even in the body of cats, this love for Krishna is still there. It cannot be extinguished, We're looking for him. That is the whole search. Everybody's looking for Krishna. Everyone. Some are looking for him in, materialistic way of life. Even the iPhone developer, they're looking for Krishna. They want to develop the perfect screen, the perfect... What is this? You want to achieve the perfection of sense object for your senses, is it not? We want to get, the screen is not big enough, and want something, and we want the resolution to be perfect, and then what is the best thing to play, right? Which best movie to see? What is that form that we're gonna look? So they try to make new movies, every year, new movies coming, new songs. What is the best song that we can hear, So they're always trying, but they're only chewing the chew because it doesn't satisfy them. If it was satisfying them, they would keep watching the same movie again and again and again and again and again, and it would be better and better and better every time, but it doesn't. So what are they looking for? They're looking for the three-banded form of Lord Krishna, Shyama Sundara. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the most beautiful, gracious form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they want to hear his flute. That's what they want to hear. That's why they're trying to make all these musics every year, all these new, whatever, pop star rappers. They're all singing and they're all trying to be Krishna, giving the flute, but they cannot. They cannot satisfy the ear of the eternal living entity, part and parcel of Krishna. They cannot do that. So only Krishna can satisfy us. Why? Because he is the reservoir of all pleasure. He is the reservoir of all pleasure. So living entities are seeking that. We're seeking Krishna. Everybody is in a search, and we've been seeking him for billions of lifetimes in this material world. We left him. That's the whole mistake. All of us. Of course, maybe some of you came down to deliver, but me, definitely, I'm a fallen soul, and I can understand. The more one advances spiritually, the more he will see that what is this thing? What is this material world that we're stuck in, So it's important. Why I chose this topic is so that it's important to distinguish what is Maya, what is Krishna. Because at the moment it is blur. It is blur. We do not really understand the true nature of Maya. Maya's true nature, she is very, very wicked. Of course, she is the devotee of the Lord. Durga Devi, she's doing her thing, but just see, she's standing behind the Lord. She's ashamed. Who knows that verse? That she was standing behind when Vyasadeva realized, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then he saw Maya standing behind him. It's in the first canto, one of the first few chapters, if someone can look that up. I don't know the exact verse. Let me see. So she's ashamed. She's ashamed. Why? Because she's so wicked, her job is just so wicked. She will smile at you and then she'll just stab you in the back. So this is I'm not capable of finding this. If you can find this, it's in the Sloka book. Anyway, so Vyasadeva saw that Maya was hiding behind Krishna. She could not take precedence. She could not come in front because she knows that this is my Lord, And my job is very wicked because I have to keep the conditioned soul into this material world. I have to keep them into suffering, basically, into bewilderment. So we have to understand who she is, Sometimes when suffering comes, we realize, this material world, what is this? I have cancer, or I have when you get a big disease, then you're like, what is that? And then you see a beautiful woman walking by, and you're like, oh, beautiful woman. Why? It's the same thing, is it not? It's a display of the external energy. So this is how she catches us. Some parts of her we might realize. This part, disgusting. Just like now we're seeing, not long ago there was the riots in Bangladesh. So everybody's disgusted. What is this, Why are people killing each other over some so-called my religion is better? No. So we see what is this material world, right? But then there's a nice sunrise. Oh, one is with the wife and the children. Now it's nice. You see, Maya, again, she's getting you. So she's getting us like this. So, yes. What is it? This is 523.3, and this is the Brahma Samhita. Yeah. So yeah, this is the 174. All right, let's go see this.
Also the verse, Prabhu, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chaye Vayasya Bhuvanana Vivatti Durga.
Yeah, that one is good. Actually, which one? Does it fix the matter? Okay, there's this one that we can see first. So, all right. So here you see, thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism. Here we're speaking of Srila Vyasadeva. And thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. So Maya is under complete control of the Supreme Lord, Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. So this is how she gets us. She tries to, she makes us think that we are part of her, that we are her basically, because what is this material body? It is simply one of her little puny manifestations. So, she makes us think that yes, you are this body. And then when one tries to become a little bit more elevated, no, I'm not this body, you know, I'm the mind maybe. Yeah, you're the mind. The mind is also not this. The mind is also an object. It is not the subject. It is there and it says, I'm depressed. And then you are looking at it and yes, I'm depressed. It's a question of the absorption. The more one will advance spiritually, the more he will be able to retract this absorption of consciousness from material objects. And that also applies to body and mind. In other words, he will be able to see the movie in front of him. And he will be able to understand that he's sitting aback. So just like, to give you an example, someone who plays video games. You know, now it's a big thing. People play video games on their phone. So there's nothing actually... There's no contact between you and the video game. There's no reality, you know. But because the person is absorbed in it, right? Oh, now I'm getting more points or whatever they do, you know. Oh, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. And if something happens in the video game, immediately they become, I don't know why, you know, I died or something. They become affected. But what is this? You simply put it away. Here's your life, right? What does this have to do with anything that you're doing here? So it's the same thing. Our consciousness is soaked within this body. It's really, really well absorbed, you know. And to get it out of it, to understand that we're not this body, we're not this mind, it takes a very strict spiritual practice. You know, there's no other way. So, okay, we have some other verses. So there's Bhaktayapa here that he shed one from the Brahma Samhita. Of course, we could take the real one, but here he has copy pasted it. Okay, I don't know if I zoom like this, can you see that I'm zooming in?
Yes.
Okay. So the external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit spiritual potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving and destroying agency of this mundane world. So she is the agent of Krishna. She's a servant of Krishna. She does what Krishna tells her to do. So this, though, to come to that stage of understanding, that takes time, definitely, and we cannot imitate that. You know, we cannot. Only the the Mahabhagavata is aware of this fully. He understands. Prabhupada writes in one purport in the Bhagavad-Gita that he says that the highest realization of Krishna consciousness is the renunciation of the material understanding of life. That means there's no more matter, there's no more Maya, basically. Everything is Krishna, because you understand there's no distinction. It's just the back, right? Irreligion is compared to the back of the Lord. So Prabhupada says back or front is the same person. Just like when there was some bombing happening in Calcutta, Prabhupada said, he said that, my dear Lord, I know that this is just part of your Vishvarupa, you know, but he said, I don't really like to see that feature of yours. So the pure devotee is never disconnected from Krishna. He's always Krishna. He always realizes everywhere. But us, when we see really terrible things happening, we tend to think, oh, you know, maybe that's not Krishna. How could Krishna do this, right? Just like there was a horrible video shared with us about the, you know, Muslims riot. So one man just killing that man with a machete, you know, just really slaughtering him. It was horrible. So when you see this, how can you realize that this man is an eternal servant of the Lord also? And how can you understand that Krishna has sanctioned this? Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. So it is not an easy thing, you know. So at the moment, though, we're not there. Therefore, we have to properly distinguish. This is Maya, this is Krishna. And when we start to properly understand what is Maya, then we will not want to be serving her again. And this is when we can attain a fixed position, you know, in service. So we'll start to look at a few verses that speak about this materialistic way of life. the modern civilization that we live in is really, really horrible. And unless one is awakened by the spiritual master, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Taismai Shri Gurave Namaha. Without you, my dear beloved spiritual master, I cannot see clearly. This jnana, this torchlight of knowledge that you carry, you give it to me, and then I can see. There was no other way. Although now it feels clear, right? When you tell someone meat eating is bad, and we know all these things. It's sinful, right? And to waste our time, watching movies. Most of us realize these things. We understand that. What is this? But there was no way we could have understood that before. So all of this comes from the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. There's just no other way to realize all these things. Okay, so we're gonna go to the 352 Shiman Bhagavatam. Okay, so maybe we will do that. If you want to read, just type yes in the comment section, and who's in charge of the meeting, whoever's in charge of the meeting, you can manage this to who would like to read. So I'm going to be sharing now. Okay, who can read this? Anyone?
Yes, any devotees can start reading this.
Can I, Prabhu? Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
sure. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Vidura said, O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satiation nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please, therefore, give us directions on how one should live for real happiness.
Just see, you see, the great sages, they're such magnanimous persons. This is heartfelt, The way that he's asking this question, it's for all of us. We should not think that these are some story and that these people did not exist, Mahatma Vidura was actually sitting there in front of Maitreya Muni, and he was trying to help us. He knew that Kali Yoga was coming. And he understood that this conversation now that's happening, it's really, really important. So he's asking this for us. Oh great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness. And just try to understand the position of Vidura at that time. Where did he come from? He just left. He was, of course, on pilgrimages before that, before meeting him. But before being on pilgrimage, what is the story that he went through? Just imagine, it was such his family were trying to kill each other. This Duryodhan, this rascal, he was trying to kill Bhima. Imagine your nephew. Your nephew is trying to kill your other nephew, and you have to deal with this, all the politics in the royal court and everything. And he's trying to protect the 5 sons of Pandu. He knows that they have no father, right? And the poor Kunti Devi is there trying to protect them. And Vidura was the only real ally and the only real well-wisher of the Pandavas. So he saw all of this. He knew all of that. He protected them against the house of lack, right? Duryodhan tried to burn the Pandavas and Mother Kunti in the house of lack. So all this is coming from. And the Dhritarashtra, who's blind, both really blind and spiritually blind, and he kept trying to instruct him, and he kept trying to instruct him, always. So don't you think that he has got enough experience of what the material world is, of what family life is? He has seen, he has seen all the intricacies, all the envy. So he's coming from all of this. He's coming, and now he sees that his entire family is about to kill each other. All the people that he loves are going to go on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and they're going to kill each other. What kind of position he is? What is our little problem compared to his? What is we cannot even understand how much, the more such great families, they have the greatest problems, you know. It's always like this. The more you go up, right, the bigger the problems. It's just like if you hear of the wars here on our earth, all right, it's quite amazing, but if you hear in the Shiman Bhagavatam and the wars against the demigods and demons, that's another realm, you know, that's another platform that we cannot even comprehend. So the greater, everything becomes greater. You know, the pain becomes greater, the enjoyment becomes greater. You see, just like Indra, oh yes, he's got the best of enjoyment, there's no doubt about that. But then what was the curse that he got, right? For those of you who know what happened, what was his curse? The eyes that he had, now he knows at the 1,000 eyes God or 100 eyes God. They were not eyes before, huh? Some of you might know. Anyway, so the greater your so-called material existence, the greater the problems also. So Mahatma Vidura is coming from all this background. He has seen it all, you know. And now he left by the arrangement of Krishna. Finally, this rascal Duryodhana insulted him in the court. And all right, he took this as his chance that I'm not gonna fight, you know. So he just left, he went on pilgrimage and he surrendered to his spiritual master. And now he's asking this for all of us, you know, because he has seen this and he wants to help. These Mahatmas, they're a really great soul. Their heart is always melted because there's no envy. That is, you see, we're all envious. Even, you know, devotees, even though we're chanting Hare Krishna and all, at least, you know, I will speak for myself. I realize that I have envy in my heart. I still do, you know. If it was not there, my heart will melt when I chant Hare Krishna. There's a verse like that, you know, that if your heart doesn't melt when you chant Hare Krishna, it means you have a steel heart. Why is it made of steel? Why is it made of steel? That means there's dirtiness inside, right? So the opposite of love of God is envy. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that envy is the heart of a Chandala, and love is the heart of a Brahmana. So they're diametrically opposite. Where there's envy, there cannot be love of God. So we're still envious. I mean, at least me. Otherwise, I would be crying seeing these people suffer always, you know. But somehow or other, you know, the other day I was driving. There was a Banga Mataji in the back, and you know, Haribhadra Mataji. We had just gone to buy flowers. That was about a month ago. So on our way back, I'm driving, and then I'm seeing this poor lady who just got smashed. You know, she was driving a tuk-tuk, I believe, a 3-wheelers, and the truck just came in, and I didn't see the actually happening, but I saw that the tuk-tuk was on the side, you know. And then I saw so many people just standing by, you know, they were standing around, and then I thought what's going on. And then when I passed by, I saw the old lady, the poor lady. She was maybe in her 60s or something, and she was just like that, you know. She was bleeding somehow. She was not feeling good. But then they were only staring at her. So I don't know if the ambulance was there. You know, the doctor was also just standing there staring. So maybe they didn't want to move her because sometimes, you know, some bones happen. So anyway, so then I was moved, you know, because I saw that as a poor auntie, you know, she's just trying to maintain her family. So and then Banga Mataji, she said, like, you know, in China they think like that it's her fault, you know, it's her own it's her fault basically, you know, because she got ran into. Then there's a saying like taisei. They say taisei means like you deserve it. So how can someone speak like that? You know, this is complete envy. Envy means, Bhaktivinoda Thakur described envy very nicely. Before, when I was trying to understand what was actually envy, and somehow or other I found this from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he described it so nicely that it's just so clear. And let me see if I can find this. Okay, all right, I'm going to be sharing my screen now. So. Okay, so here, this is from my personal notes. So, oops, sorry. Okay, here it is. Try to make this bigger. I cannot. Why is this? I've done an update, so I don't know how to zoom in. Anyway, I hope you can see. So here, you see, why is envy the chief of all internal enemies? Okay, so Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur. What is envy? Are envy and love opposed to each other? So here he defines: to become happy on seeing others' distress, and to become distressed on seeing others' happiness is called envy. Envy and love are contradictory, and hence mutually exclusive. Wherever there is envy, there is no question of love. And wherever there is love, there is no question of envy. So, this is, and Prabhupada said it, we are, So Prabhupada said it, we are all envious in this material world. We're all envious of one another. That's the whole, because we're all trying to be Krishna. You know, that's the whole mistake, right? Everybody's trying to be Krishna. You know, what is Krishna? Bhagavan, the possessor of 6 opulence. So somebody's trying to become the strongest, somebody's trying to become the most beautiful, somebody's trying to appear to be the best scholar, right? The most learned. Somebody's trying to be, no, I'm a great renouncer, I've renounced the whole world. So the 6, somebody, the most wealth, right? And what is Krishna? Krishna is the, in the Bhagavad-Gita, the last verse of the 5th chapter, right? He is the best friend of everybody. He's the supreme well-wisher. He is the proprietor of everything. And all activities are meant to satisfy him. And here in the material world, people are trying to get these things, right? The possessor of everything. What are they fighting for always? Oh, this piece of land, that, just like the country I'm living in. They're fighting now with India, right, on that border. What is there? There's nothing there. Some mountainous region, useless place, and no, you know, I want more. Or they're fighting over the islands in the ocean, the China Ocean, right? If you see the map of China, how they put the lines in the ocean, the lines go all the way down there, right next to Philippines, you know, and then so more. I want to get it all, you know. Give me the whole earth, give me the whole universe. So this is it. Where souls in the material world are competing against the Lord. They want to become Krishna, and because everybody else is competing also, then naturally you're envious. Because envy, Narada Muni says that the cure, how to cure envy is to get free, stop sense gratification. If you stop sense gratification, then you can be freed from envy. Because envy means what? I want to get, let's say, you know, I might not be envious of someone who's like, has got the best, let's say, card, like collecting some cards, you know, collection that he's got, you know, 1 million. I don't care, because I'm not trying to do that, you see. But let's say I'm trying to have the most beautiful car, then you know, immediately I see someone with a better car than me, then what is this guy? And then I see him get a car accident. That's it, you know, thank you very much. I become happy. Envy is there. So unless we remove that envy from the heart, we will not understand what is true love, you know. So the purification process has to be there. This chanting Hare Krishna. So of course this is a huge topic. So okay, maybe we can learn a bit more about envy before. So let me see. See here, what is the living entity's liberation and bondage? Non-enviousness is the cause of the living entity's liberation, and enviousness the cause of their bondage. So this is all from Sajjana Tosani, you know. I had taken these notes some time ago. So, can an envious person feel compassion for other living entities, develop faith in the Vaishnavas, and become lower than the straw in the street? A person who feels distress, a person who feels distress upon seeing others' happiness can never show compassion to other living entities. He cannot worship the Supreme Lord with a simple mind. Due to his perverted nature, he maintains hatred and enviousness towards the Vaishnavas. It is to be understood that a person who has completely divested himself of envy has actually understood the purport of the Trinad Api Sunichena. Trinad Api Sahishnuna, sorry. So that's the whole point. We need to remove this envy, because this material world is simply a huge cage filled with envious snakes, biting each other. This is what the material world is. So the original mistake that we all made, at least that I made, that I'm sure of, can someone read this?
Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy Maya gives him all kinds of misery in his material existence.
So that is the whole problem is there. Like we were saying in the beginning, everybody's looking for Krishna, but if you forget Krishna, it doesn't mean that you will stop looking for Krishna. You must keep looking for Krishna, because you're part and parcel of him, and Krishna is all attractive. This all attractive Prabhupada always says that Krishna is the perfect name of God, because it means all attractive. It took me some time to get it, that how come all attractive, all these people, they're not right, they don't care for the Lord, so why is he all attractive? So I heard not so long ago actually, Prabhupada was saying that just like a strong man, right? Somebody's going to see a boxer, just like back in the days, Muhammad Ali, he was the greatest, and everybody was looking at his match and they were attracted. So Krishna says, I'm the strength of the strong. And whatever manifestation is there, basically, what is this strength? Strength is part and parcel of Krishna's strength. When we say we are part and parcel of Krishna, at least I used to think, okay, there's a piece of light here and Krishna is there, and then boom, part and parcel of Krishna. Actually, it means everything we have. Our senses are part and parcel of Krishna's senses. Our mind is part and parcel of Krishna's mind. Our intelligence is part and parcel of Krishna's intelligence. Everything that we have actually is not ours. This body of us is simply, now, materially speaking, and the body of material people, they are, not that I'm not, I am also. My meaning is that the bodies of living entities is part of the Vishvarupa, right? When Krishna told Arjuna, whatever you wish to see can now be seen here in one place. Whatever you wish to see, past, present, and future, you can all see here in one. So if Arjuna would somehow think of one of us, he would have seen us in the Vishvarupa, because he could see everything within without the limit of time and space, right? Everything was there in one place. So this body is also part of Krishna in his Vishvarupa form. See? So then, so that's it. So if you're seeing someone who's very beautiful, beauty comes from where? From Krishna. So you're actually attracted to Krishna. So we are attracted to, you see, just like a few weeks ago, there was a little lizard in my house, very small one, those geckos, So somehow it was in the bathroom, and I think I closed the door on it. I was not careful. I did not see, And then after that, I saw that he was injured. He was very small, a baby, and I saw his throat was cut. So he was trying to grasp air, So then I took it in my hand. I could see that he was bleeding. He was about to leave his body. So I started to chant Hare Krishna. Then my son was there. So my son was looking. I want to see the lizard. And then Labanga Mataji's 2 granddaughters were there also. So they all wanted to touch. They all wanted to play with the lizard. So I told them, no, he's bleeding. He's gonna leave his body soon. Don't disturb him. So we were all chanting Hare Krishna. I told them, you chant Hare Krishna also. So we were all chanting, and so the little girls, I want to touch. I said, no, you make a small box with some tissue. We'll let him leave his body inside. So then we put him in the tissue box. So it was still a bit moving. So they wanted to play with it. And then at one point I saw, okay, he stopped moving, So I poke it. So okay, I knew that the soul left. So then I said, you see, now the soul has gone. So I took the opportunity to instruct my son and the 2 girls. So I said, you see, the soul has gone. So I say, what is missing? I said, just a few moments back it was moving and everything. Now what is missing? So I took it by the tail like this, and I lifted it, so it was a dead lizard body. Immediately the two girls are, right? They went away, So I said, just see. I said, 1 minute ago, not even, you wanted to touch the lizard. Now you're repulsed. That means that the thing you're attracted to is gone. I told them, you see, the thing that you like is not there anymore. So what is that thing? So it's the spirit. Actually, we're not attracted to these material bodies. We're attracted to the spirit soul within. We might say, we look at a beautiful woman. Oh wow, she's nice and everything. But if she would fall dead right on the spot, and you just see a dead body there, inert with blank eyes, it's frightful. It's repulsive. You won't want to touch it. So what you're actually attracted to is the spirit soul. What we are attracted to is the spirit. So we're not attracted to matter, we're attracted to spirit. Now the next question is why? Why are we attracted to spirit? Why are we attracted to the spirit soul of the person and not the material body? The answer is that because the spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So it is not that...
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Who is talking? Maybe we can have questions a bit later. Huh? So we are actually not independently attracted to the spirit soul. The spirit soul is attractive. Why?
We are blocking the way, they asked me to move.
Oh, no, we're not.
I will ask that guy.
Just one moment. It seems like I've parked in the wrong place.
No, the guy will have you come.
So ultimately, the ultimate attractions again comes to Krishna. You see, so we're attracted to this personality, this spirit soul, because it is part and parcel of Krishna. It is Prabhupada once said, a sample Krishna. We are sample Krishnas, right? Because Krishna has got a mind, he's got two eyes, he's got a nose, So therefore, we're also like this, Okay, so one more verse about leaving the Supreme Lord, about the original mistake. That is Anadi Karamapale, right? Anadi means, Prabhupada says, Anadi, no beginning. Actually, he says not that there's no beginning, but it's even before this Brahma. Before this Brahma existed, we were already in the material world. So, from this point of view, we might be older than Brahma. Okay, here, can you see? Am I sharing? Yes. Okay, who wants to keep reading?
When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by material energy. His conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called Viparayayo Smriti. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service.
So you see, when the living entity is attracted by the material energy. Now this very sentence here, this is a great subject amongst many philosophers, even amongst Vaishnavas. There is difference of opinion concerned to this. But here, we can understand that, you see, when the living entity is attracted by the material energy, so it happened. There's a beginning to this, Some Vaishnava philosophers even, they say that conditioned souls have always been in the material world, I'm not going to start speaking about this topic because it's a long topic and it's very intricate. But we should, on that specific point, we should stay with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, we were with Krishna and we left Krishna. So, that's it. And another thing is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is my identity? Yes, you are an eternal servant of Krishna. So eternal means there's no beginning. So how can it be that we were eternally in the material world if we're eternal servant of Krishna? Again, that's another contradiction, you know. Anyway, so when the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, okay, now it is separate from Krishna in the sense that, you know, one of those, that verse, the Chatushloka Bhagavatam, right? That Krishna says that whatever doesn't have any connection with me actually has got no value. You know? So it's not that it actually not connected to the Lord, is that it actually has no real existence. Because life means Krishna. You know, Prabhupada said, we only say the word consciousness. Actually, you cannot just say consciousness. It's Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, actually consciousness means Krishna consciousness, but because we have less Krishna, we just say consciousness. Life means life with Krishna. But because now we have no Krishna, we think that life is this perverted reflection here. So the whole mistake has to be, rewinded. So, okay, here again. Which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. So we are always fearful. A synonym of fear is anxiety. We're always fearful, and we cannot realize this because fear has always been there. Unless something disappears, you have nothing to compare it to. You see, if someone has never felt cold, how can he know what is heat? You know, he will only think that, well, you know, this 25 degrees is what it feels like to be, right? To what my skin feels like in contact with air. But actually, you must experience cold, and then you will understand what heat is. So fear is always there in the heart, you know, because here it is Kunta. The spiritual world is called Vaikunta, so freed from anxiety. But here it is Kunta. Everyone is fearful. So because he's separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, his conception of life is reversed. So what is that conception of life? The eternal understanding is that we are eternal servant of Krishna. So the reverse of this is that we are eternal competitors of Krishna. And this is what is happening. This is what we see everywhere. Nobody wants to hear about God. People don't want to even you mention God, they become envious, you know. So in other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. Yeah, so there it is. So this is called Yaparyo Smriti. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a spiritual master, worshipful deity and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. So this is actually a quotation from 11.237 Bhagavatam, but it is found there, you know, Madhya 20.119. So, okay, we'll go back here to Vidura. So Vidura was saying this: all great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satiation nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please therefore give us direction on how one should live for real happiness. Okay, who wants to read the purport?
Vidura asked Maitreya some common questions, which was not originally his intention. Uddhava asked Vidura to approach Maitreya Muni and inquire into all the truths concerning the Lord, his name, fame, quality, form, pastimes, entourage, etc. And thus, when Vidura approached Maitreya, he should have asked only about the Lord. But out of natural humility, he didn't immediately ask about the Lord, but he inquired into a subject which would be of great importance to the common man.
Okay, so
a common man cannot.
Yes, so you see here. So what Prabhupada is telling us here is that Vidura is a pure devotee. Vidura wants to be engaged in hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Actually, he's more attracted to the 10th canto basically than the previous cantos, because he's already on that level, you know. But he knows that this conversation which is taking place now is not a normal conversation, and it will not be lost in thin air, you know. So here Prabhupada says, but inquired into a subject which would be of great importance to the common man. So the common man is the main people, that's why this is the ABC. We must start from the first canto, then second canto, third canto, in this way, so that we can understand what is this material life that we're living in. If all of a sudden you jump to the 10th canto, Prabhupada said, what you'll do, you'll destroy yourself, because you'll misunderstand the Supreme Lord. So first of all, properly disassociate the material energy. Properly understand what a wicked witch she is, Even though she has nice makeup, she's still a witch. Just like Putna. She was so beautiful. She came. Everybody thought she was a heavenly maiden, but no. She came to try to kill Krishna. So this Maya, this material world, is a witch. We must understand that properly. And then we can, advance. Okay, Mataji, you can continue.
A common man cannot understand the Lord. He must first know the real position of his life under the influence of the illusory energy. In illusion, one thinks that he can be happy only by fruitive activities. But what actually happens is that one becomes more and more entangled in the network of action and reaction and does not find any solution to the problem of life. There is a nice song in this connection. Because of a great desire to have all happiness in life, I built this house. But unfortunately, the whole scheme has turned to ashes because the house was unexpectedly set on fire. The law of nature is like that. Everyone tries to become happy by planning in the material world, but the law of nature is so cruel that it sets fire to one's schemes. The fruitive worker is not happy in his schemes, nor is there any satiation of his continuous hankering for happiness.
So now we should not be puffed up thinking that this does not apply to us because we're chanting Hare Krishna. We should not think like that, because to come to the level of jnana karma anavritam, to be really beyond karma and jnana, that is not easy thing, not at all. Most devotees are polluted still with this kind of understanding that I have to work for fruitive results. I know personally some devotee couple here in China. They are just suffering so much now, and why? Because they are too engrossed in this family life. She was, for those of you who might know, here at the temple there's 3 Matajis and none of them have any husband. Labanga Mataji was the temple president. She had a husband, so they divorced. So she has a daughter also and 2 granddaughters. But the 2 other Matajis, they have never gotten married. They don't have children, obviously. So and there's one more Bhaktin who comes often, and so that other devotee couple that they got married some time ago, when she got her child, her baby boy. So she wrote an email to that Bhaktin who is not married. And she said, you can also have such a nice life. Meaning, now you see, I've got my husband, we've got our first child, so you can also have such a nice life. She was writing to her. So in those days, when that happened, that Bhaktin, who's not married, obviously, every woman's dream is to get a nice husband and nice children and a house, they want this. So she was, of course, she was thinking about it, it's true, I want this. And now, some 11, 12 years later, she sees their position and she's thinking like, thank Lord, I did not go through this. Of course, if Prabhupada says, if the husband is a pure devotee, that means he's fully surrendered to the spiritual master. If the wife is very chaste, faithful, then yes, then the house can have a very good atmosphere. But it doesn't mean that it is still not a material relationship, right? Because it's still based on the bodily concept. So to completely go beyond bodily attachment in family life is something that takes time. That's why it's not in one go. First you get the brahmachari training so that you don't get too attached to your wife. Then materially attached, spiritual attachment is good. If you understand that my wife is a spirit soul, she's a devotee, I need to give her the best thing according to who she is, so let me bring her back to Godhead. That is good. But if too much material attachment, that's not good. That will hamper one's spiritual advancement, Srila Prabhupada said. So that's why brahmacharya is there. And how to know if we're too materially attached. Prabhupada said in a purport, I don't know where exactly, I'm not such a pundit that I can just take out type numbers. I'm not on that level. But Prabhupada said, if one finds his wife very beautiful, very attractive, that means he's too attached. So that's a sign for us grihasthas. Anyway, so then there's vanaprastha. Vanaprastha, you start to get separated from children, and you go travel and preach with your wife. And then after that, so it's something that doesn't happen overnight. So it is possible to be happy in marriage life, but to my experience, actually real happiness comes when husband and wife preach together. That is because if you're working, first of all, Prabhupada said if you don't want to be entangled with this money thing, you need to give 50% of your income. Who is doing this? I've never met a grihastha who gives 50% of his income to the temple. I've never met that. And is it Prabhupada said it, so it cannot be it cannot be false, right? But in modern days now, we might think, wow, 50. Basically, that means, don't think of buying a castle. Even an apartment would be hard to buy by giving 50% of your income. So anyway, so this is a whole other topic, grihastha, ashram and all. But my point is this, is that this grihastha couple, because the husband was not strong enough, first of all. The husband wasn't strong enough in Krishna consciousness, and the reason for that is that he did not take guidance. He's one of those who think that, Prabhupada is my spiritual master, and that's it. I stay at home, I read his books, and that's it. So he doesn't take guidance from senior devotees. Therefore, he doesn't get the strength needed, because without devotee association, forget it, you don't advance. And without guidance from someone who's senior than you, who's been through it, who knows what's going to happen in grihastha ashram, he's lived it, he has realized it. It's not just jnana, it's vijnana, realized knowledge. And you don't want to take advantage of such a person, and who is much more advanced, and who's has got more realization, and no, I can do it by myself. All right, then you try, and that's the result, And plus, his wife is also not she likes to argue, she likes to talk back. That's a very bad habit for a woman to talk back to the husband. The wife should not talk back, Anyway, so because of these things and other, the family issue, then it is basically hellish. Now their son is not interested in Krishna consciousness. He is completely against it, actually. When he comes to the temple, even he was very offensive one time, to Prabhupada and all. So how much they're suffering, and now they're trying to pay for his material education. For one term, they're gonna have to be giving some 8,000 yuan. That's 80,000 rupees. One term. Does that mean what? A year? 160,000 rupees. Anyway, so grihastha ashram, unless you're very fixed up, unless you've got proper guidance, forget it. So my point here is that we should not think that these verses that speak of grihastha ashram, the suffering of trying to become happy with fruitive activities, that this does not apply to us because we've got a bead bag at home. No, it's not like this, Is that if even you're wearing a tilak, you're chanting Hare Krishna, but if you start to think about that, then let me buy a nice apartment, in the nice quarter of the city, or why? Are you going to be opening a center? No, it's just I want to have. Well, that's material activity. Of course the wife will want, right? Generally, women, they want an apartment and all. So it has to be done under expert guidance. That's all I'm saying. It has to be done, because then you fall, working and giving some money to the temple is not pure devotional service. It falls under the karma yoga section of devotional service. You see, so it's dangerous. Karma yoga is very dangerous if you're not under some superior control, because it can just slip away and finish. So this couple tried to become happy. They were endeavoring, and all I'm seeing is just the opposite, and it's just increasing. And this is exactly what we saw in this verse today, that they are trying to become happy by sense gratification, but they are achieving only the opposite. Okay. Okay, we'll read this. So, who would like to read? A moment. Can you see now? Yeah. Okay, who would like to read this?
Srila Prabhupada said, accepting
Okay,
the rules.
Prabuddha.
Sri Prabuddha said, accepting the roles of male and female in human society, the conditioned souls unite in sexual relationships. Thus, they constantly make material endeavors to eliminate their unhappiness and unlimitedly increase their pleasure. But one should see that they inevitably achieve exactly the opposite result. In other words, their happiness inevitably vanishes, and as they grow older, their material discomfort increases.
Just see. And they are simply trying, someone who's engaged in karmakandic activity, trying to get the result of your work, you simply become more and more entangled. You're walking into spider webs, and you think, I will remove them, and you're simply getting deeper and deeper, and it just gets more tight and tight and tight. The more you try, the more it gets tighter. Just like there's this, I don't know if some of you know that thing, that Japanese thing that it pinches both your fingers, and the more you pull, the more it squeezes your fingers, so the more it hurts. The more you try to get out, the more it hurts. So this is what they're trying to do. They try to counteract their miseries, but what they're doing, they're increasing the miseries. So material life is like this: is that you think, all right, now I have solved this problem, but side by side you created a new problem. You cannot avoid this. For example, this Mr. Ford, right? Okay, let me see if I can. Just want to show you a bit of images. So he created. What is this? The whole secret. There's a famous quote of him. Anyway, any quote can be used, I guess, because okay, what is this? Can you see? You're seeing? I'm sharing screen, right? Yeah. Okay. So whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Okay. No, that's a bit lame. The one I'm trying to find here is if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. There's a quote like that. So anyway, so he thinks he's very smart because he invented the car, right? Actually, so this is a picture of him with one of his car, So one of his famous quotes is this: is that if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have asked for faster horses. Okay, so he thinks he's very smart, saying that people, they don't know actually what is good for them. I know what is good for them. I have invented the automobile, and with this now they can go miles an hour. Okay, let us see one thing that Mr. Ford has given us. Okay, okay, cars produced this year. Okay, this is there's so much here. Let me see. Okay, so here CO2 emissions this year in tons. This year in tons. How much CO2 is released in the atmosphere? 30 billion tons of CO2. So how much percent do we owe Mr. Ford for that? You see all these numbers going. A big percentage of that is thank you, Mr. Ford. And that's only this year. Okay, so we know that this CO2 is, I know maybe better than all of you. I live in China, how polluted this place is. We can hardly see a blue sky. Of course, South China is a bit better. But the place I used to live before we opened a center, it was ridiculous. At one point, this is another very good example on how Maya can slap you and make you think that it's a kiss, is that the place I was living in, it was just so polluted, and at one point, hopefully I was not there, but we saw a post of a devotee that was there, or some person that was there. That pollution became so intense that you could not see, I think it was like 100 meters ahead. and that was because of the pollution. 100 meters ahead, you could not see. And that person wrote in the post and said, wow, it feels like we're in heaven, because it looks like clouds, right? So you're living in, a mortal gas that is killing you, and the air you breathe, and the person, wow, you think you're in heaven. So just see, and who do we have? Who do we owe this? A great part is to Mr. Ford. So he's giving us, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horse, but I give you this car and then all your problems. No, Mr. Ford, you brought a heck of a problem on us, And not only this, what about traffic jams, right? Look at this. Do you think that this is life? Huh? Anybody that drive the cars, anybody that know how to drive the cars knows that this is hell. This is complete hell. I think the Yamadutas should invent a planet like that with this kind of punishment, that you just place someone in a small box and he has to be inhaling all the exhaust of everybody and hearing the beep beep, and it's hot, and So just look at this. Thank you, Mr. Ford. So this is material existence. You think you're advancing, but you're creating something which is completely insane. This is completely insane. Imagine if these pictures were shown to people 5,000 years ago from the Vedic age, right? What they would see, well, you're showing me pictures of the hellish planets, This is a hellish, you're stuck in a little box, and you're going, and you're just going to work, basically. You're just going to work or coming back from work, and this is what you have to endure every day, 5 days a week, entire year, and you have to do this for 50 years or something like that. So in the Vedic times, work was a question of walking distance, or at most, cart and bullock cart distance. Not that you have to go and live this hellish thing. Okay, do we have? I thought we had the statistics for how many people died from car accidents. Smoke, alcohol, suicide. Okay, here, yeah. Road traffic accident fatalities this year only 1,123,000. Everybody's crying for the COVID, right? Look at this. What about that? And this is this year. How many years we have? I would like to see that number. What is that number since the beginning of the invention of motor cars, right? So thank you, Mr. Ford. How many people you're killing with this, So there's some crazy numbers. Your money spent on illegal drugs anyway. You look at this, you just. So this is Maya, right? Women independence. Here you go. Thank you, women independence. 35 million poor child killed in the womb this year.
Prabhu, we can't see your screen. You have not shared the screen.
Only now you're telling me this? I've been talking and showing you.
No, just for past 5 minutes.
Yes, 5 minutes. I said a lot in 5 minutes. Okay. Yes, please interact more. Hare Krishna. Okay, so here, all right, I'll show again. Here, road traffic accident fatalities this year. You see 1,125,000. So this is only this year. Okay, right. So then you haven't seen this picture, I guess, right? Past 5 minutes, I haven't been sharing my screen. So you see, so all of this is what Mr. Ford has created. He's responsible. Of course, he's not the only responsible for this, but this is it. So material life, you think you're fixing things, actually you're making things worse. Why? Because you're going against the instructions of the Lord. You just cannot fix it without following the instructions of Krishna. That's all. So road traffic accident, you see. Then I was saying here, abortions, 35 million abortions this year. 35 million women are killing their babies this year only, and people cry over COVID. Why do you think that COVID is killing people? Because of these things. How much sin? How much sins is this? 35 is like people are crying for the Jews who have been killed, and this is maybe not even a real story. Anyway, so 35 million this year. If there was this number, let's say, people would say it's a genocide, it's the worst war ever happened, But people don't talk about it, they call it fetus, right? Or the fetus. Or I had an accident. That's what they say, I had an accident. I was speaking with my sister, she's a Karmi now, and she was saying, oh, my son got an accident with his girlfriend last year. What does that mean? She got pregnant because they have illicit sex practically every day, so she obviously at one point the contraceptive method doesn't work. She became pregnant. So what did they do with the accident? Well, there's one number here that is her. She killed her child, They killed their child. So that's it. So you try to go one way, you try to be happy like this, and then what happens after? Completely the opposite. Okay, okay, let's see, maybe okay, someone can read this. I'm still sharing now. Okay, all right, yeah, you can read.
A materialistic person, thinking himself very advanced in intelligence, continually acts for economic development. But again and again, as enunciated in the Vedas, he is frustrated by material activities, either in this life or in the next. Indeed, the results one obtains are inevitably the opposite of those one desires.
So you see, we've seen a few verses, they're all saying the same thing, opposite. As soon as you start to endeavor for material happiness, you're actually getting the opposite. So we have to realize these things. Okay, you can read the purport.
No one has ever achieved the results he desired from material activities. On the contrary, everyone has been frustrated again and again. Therefore, one must not waste his time in such material activities for sensual pleasure, either in this life or in the next. So many nationalists, economists, and other ambitious persons have tried for happiness, individually or collectively, but history proves that they have all been frustrated. In recent history, we have seen many political leaders work hard for individual and collective economic development, but they have all failed. This is the law of nature, as clearly explained in the next verse.
Okay, let's go see the next verse, since Prabhupada mentions it. I think this is did we read this? Oh no, okay, yeah, this is also a very important verse, yeah. Okay, who wants to read this?
In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin.
Yes. So you see, so when one tries to improve himself materially, the exact opposite happens. So what is this trying to improve oneself? There are many examples, but the main example is there we saw in the other verse. Sex, right? The sex unites male and female. So the male and the female, they get together and then they think that, oh, happiness will be there. But what is that happiness? In the Bhagavad-Gita, Srila Prabhupada explains, happiness in the mode of passion. In the beginning, oh, it's very sweet. Oh, I've got my girlfriend, I've got my, of course, in India, no question of girl. Of course, now there is, but in the West, it all starts like this. Girlfriend, boyfriend. Even now, almost nobody gets married. Almost, they just have children, and it's more simple to divorce after. Why sign the contract and then go through the hectic thing? So that's it. So they get together, and then they think, oh, happiness is coming. So they're enjoying this sex life, and then what happens? Pregnancy comes, right? Oh, okay, all right. Now responsibility comes. Before it was just playing around, right? Traveling with my girlfriend or this, or with my young wife. Now the child is coming. All right, I need to get ready. So, all right, then you must get a house, and the women by nature, they want to feel security. So this is going to be acting on the mind of the man, right? Okay, my wife wants security, and if she doesn't get it, she will be always nagging and anxious, and I will become distressed, right? So, okay, let me work to get a house. And then, how much does a house cost these days? We all see how the price of house, practically all of us who live in in big cities, we all have no hope to buy any apartments, because it's so expensive now. It's almost impossible, So then you must start to work and work and work and work and work, and simply to buy that little piece of a place where you're going to be living. And then children, as they grow up, what happens? They got to go to school. You got to bring them to school. You got to pay for that. Then at school they're going to be maybe bullied, or they're going to get some bad influence. And then there's the medical bills. They fall sick. They break their bones. Anxiety. You try to protect them. You realize that you cannot fully. It just increases and increases and increases. And what happens? Oh, we want another child. As if one is not another child comes in, and then boom, double trouble, right? So it just goes like this, and it increases. And these materialists, now we can say that, but how is it that they don't realize that? Ahankare matahoya, Nitāi pada pashari. So ahankare, they're just completely bewildered by their false ego. They go through it because they have sense gratification. That's all. They can endure all these things because they have got a little bit of, one cigarette here, some sex life here, some movies there, right? That's why you always see them. What is next step? What comes next? What is the next sense? They cannot just sit in place. They cannot simply think, now I'm just gonna stay here and think about my life for a second. What is good? No. What is next? Let's go see a movie. They cannot stand still, Oh, let's drive away, let's go to the supermarket there. Just always activity for sense gratification, because if they stop, they become extremely miserable. Of course, their sense gratification, the whole thing is miserable, but they don't realize that. But if they stop their sense gratification, they will depress. Therefore, why these beers are there? Why these cigarettes are there? Why all these intoxications? Because the whole week you're going to work 8 hours a day, and you're tired and everything, and then weekend you're like, what is this life? And go, and then you become drunk and you forget, So, they're very, how can I say, poor them, because they're stuck in this whole mess. And the only remedy is this Krishna consciousness. There's no other remedy. There's no other way. If you add Krishna in the center of your family life, then yes, it's possible to become happy. And this should not be done half-half. Not that we go to the temple on Sundays. That won't work. Also, I know I was born in ISKCON. My parents were devotees, and that was the thing. Let's go to the temple on Sundays. We had some deities at home. I remember some Nimāi Nitāi deities. Somehow my mother at one point, she found it was too much to take care, That's another thing. To take care of deities at home, you have to be, if you take a standard, you have to be very serious. Unless you are extremely serious in deity worship at home, it won't really be fruitful, because offenses will be committed and then you become discouraged, and that's it. So that's why the best thing is that the grihastha live next to the temple, and that they worship the deities at the temple, in this way. So unless it's a day in, day out thing, husband and wife, it's going to be very hard to be fully happy in grihastha ashram. So, okay, who wants to read the purport? Am I still sharing my screen? No, okay, I'm going to share now. Okay, someone wants to read?
Every conditioned soul is bound by the laws of material nature as described in Bhagavad-Gita. Everyone has achieved a certain type of body given by material nature according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of the material energy.
Sorry.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul, is present in everyone's heart, and as the living entity decides, the Lord gives him facilities with which to work according to his ambitions in different grades of bodies. The body is just like an instrument by which the living entity moves according to false desires for happiness and thus suffers the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease in different standards of life. Everyone begins his activities with some plan and ambition, but actually, from the beginning of one's plan to the end, one doesn't derive any happiness. On the contrary, as soon as one begins acting according to his plan, his life of distress immediately begins. Therefore, one should not be ambitious to dissipate the unhappy conditions of life, for one cannot do anything about them.
Okay, so this is a very important point here. You see, therefore, one should not be ambitious to dissipate the unhappy conditions of life, for one cannot do anything about them. We cannot remove misery from this material world. The threefold misery will always be there. To a greater extent or lower extent, it doesn't matter, they are always there. And if we endeavor to try to counteract them, then we create further misery, basically. For example, I think we have a very good example now. What is happening? This virus, it's a misery for everybody, and now they're trying to counteract it. And what is the counteractive measure that we've been living in for how many? Almost 2 years. What is it? Wearing the mask, distancing, quarantine. Now this vaccine that is having so many side effects that is almost, people are dying from it. I mean, they're trying to protect themselves so much that actually it's even more painful than the actual virus itself. Just like, some of our devotees, they recovered from the COVID in like days, simply resting and taking some, natural medicine. That's all that they had to do it from the very beginning, just to let the virus spread, and let people build their immunity and take some, natural medicine, and then people will be fine. But no, lockdown, this, that, you cannot travel, now the planes tickets are so expensive, people lose their jobs, people committed suicide, so many divorce. So why? Because you're trying to avoid the misery that is allotted to you. So therefore, matras parshastu konteya shitoshna sukha dukkha daha. Right, you must endure. So happiness and pain will come and go, like winter and summer season. Practically every year we hear some people, winter is coming, it's hot now, right? Of course, some of you are like in Philippines or Singapore or India, it's always hot. But in some places, right, it gets cold, it gets hot. Now we have Dimitri here, he's from Russia, he knows, Dimitri Prabhu. So he knows, he must be hearing every year. I know, I'm from Canada also, the same thing, Winter is coming, oh, it's getting cold, oh, it's cold outside. And then summer is coming, it's hot outside. Always some people that complain, it's gonna come and go and come and go. So Prabhupada said, the suffering has come, it will go, right? So this is how we should understand that. Okay, now I'm put in a suffering position, that it will go away, And that can be done when the mind is strong, and the mind has to be controlled with intelligence. Intelligence is the controller of the mind. So unless we are infused with this spiritual intelligence that we're reading right now, the words of the spiritual master, to put us in line, how can we control the mind? Therefore, hearing is so important. Prabhupada says spiritual life is to make the mind strong. It's a fact, And the devotee who has attained a very strong mind is Yavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana, the one who has got a one-pointed tunnel vision, His Grace Sundagopal Prabhu, he's got the tunnel vision, only one direction, preach. Snow or sun, preach, sick or healthy, preach. So that is a one-pointed attention. The desire is aligned with Prabhupada. That's called Buddhi Yoga. What is this Buddhi? What does that mean? Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi, intelligence, yoga, linking. That means your intelligence becomes truly part and parcel of Krishna's intelligence. Just like we were saying, right? Part and parcel of Krishna. What does that mean? We are part and parcel of Krishna, but now we try to make our intelligence separate from Krishna. artificially. We try to have our mind separate from Krishna, our senses separate from Krishna. No, our senses are meant to be merged into the Krishna existence, right? They're supposed to be there, always serving the Lord. So, Chintamani Prakara Sanma Shukal Pabriksha Lakshavriteshu Surabhira Vipalaita Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevyamanam. So all the limbs of the Lakshmis, of the gopis, are for it eternally engaged in the service of the Lord. You know, the eyes are meant to look at Krishna, the hands are meant to offer flowers to Krishna, the tongues are meant to sing songs for the Lord. In this way, this is yogam, the real yogam. It's linked, it's together. It's not just buddhi yogam, it's everything. The intelligence, the mind, the senses, everything is there. So our buddhi yogam means that our intelligence will be part and parcel of Krishna's intelligence. In other words, the intelligence will be supplied by Krishna directly. You do this, you do that, now you do this, now you preach like this, you preach, you get in, you know, my Lord, how to do this now. Yes, you can, you know, start food distributing program. Oh, okay, I have this idea. This is Krishna. You know, Krishna's intelligence is working. And you're perceiving a little spark, a little piece of that, because your intelligence is part of him. Buddhi yogam, yavasayatmika buddhi. You know? So only in this way can the mind be made strong, and only in this way will we be able to endure. Pain and pleasure will come and go. All right, that's all right, but I stay. Tunnel vision. You know? Okay, Mataji, you can continue reading. Am I still sharing my screen? No. Okay, you can continue. Ahankara, Vimodhatma.
Although one is acting according to false ambitions, he thinks he can improve his material conditions by his activities. The Vedas enjoin that one should not try to increase happiness or decrease distress, for this is futile. One should work for self-realization, not for economic development, which is impossible to improve. Without endeavor, one cannot get the amount of happiness and distress for which he is destined, and one cannot change this. Therefore, it is better to use one's time for advancement in the spiritual life of Krishna consciousness. One should not waste his valuable life as a human being. It is better to utilize this life for developing Krishna consciousness without ambitions for so-called happiness.
Okay, this last part from Prabhupada is also not easy to understand. Okay, it's not easy to realize because exactly why Prabhupada quoted that verse here. You see, Prabhupada, he's just so intelligent. He puts things before us, and it just takes us years and years to realize. I'm not saying I have realized that, but I have definitely realized more than when I started reading. So you see here, he starts with this verse. Okay. Ahankara vimudata kartahamiti manyate. Okay, let's go see this first. Okay, Mataji, you can read this.
The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature.
Okay, this verse here from the Bhagavad-Gita is just so important, and it is so hard to realize. But the more we advance spiritually, the more we will be able to understand that, because the Lord would allow us to understand this. You see, because bewildered spirit soul. What is this bewildered? That is, by Maya. Maya is bewildering. Who? The spirit soul. And above these two is Krishna. Okay, so bewildered. Here we have Maya. Here we have Jiva. Okay, but there's something missing. There's Krishna above here. So Krishna is here. Maya is here. Spirit soul is here. Okay. So Krishna controls Maya. Mama Maya Durateya. So under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. Alright, does that mean that we're doing nothing? Does that mean I'm not working in the morning? Does that mean I'm not, I'm not making that money? I'm going to work and I'm getting the money and everything? Okay, the actual answer is that yes, we are not the doer. It is not happening according to our control. It is the three modes of material nature. Okay, let's try to understand this. For example, now I'm moving this hand, right? I'm opening the fingers and all. Okay, which nerve am I pulling? How much blood do I need to pump inside of this? How much? There's so much. This arm is filled with so much nerves and everything. How is it happening? So yes, we are desiring, and it is happening. So therefore, there's a verse in Bhagavad-Gita that says, I believe it's at the end of the 5th chapter, that the realized sage, while eating, sleeping, moving about, eating and breathing, knows that he is not the doer. He does nothing at all. He does nothing at all. So this whole thing happening here is a sort of movie, and we sit in the background. In other words, we do not walk. We experience a walking body. We do not speak. We experience a talking tongue. All right. So this, of course, simply by discussing jnana, we cannot realize that. It means we need to chant and we need to do austerity, diminishing the eating, sleeping, mating, defending. If the eating is too much, if the sleeping is too much, if the mating is too much, if the defending is too much, then we are fully engrossed in thinking we're the body. We cannot understand that it's a movie playing and we are observers. We are sitting at the back. It is said, right? The senses are superior to dull matter. So dull matter is here. Dull matter, right? And my sense now, I'm moving my working senses, it's there. Okay, so obviously it's superior, right? Because I can control it. The mind is superior than the senses. So I'm experiencing this touch, this feeling of touch here. I'm experiencing this in the mind. Okay, now let's say I take pleasure in touching this mouse. Okay, and then the intelligence is superior than the mind. No. You shouldn't take pleasure in touching this. This is sense gratification. Oh, okay. You see, higher, right? But higher than the intelligence is him, the spirit soul. He is the highest of all. The soul is even higher than the intelligence. So what does that mean then? I'm only experiencing, the intelligence is a tool, you see. Take help from your intelligence, What does your intelligence tells you? Right? Why are such sentences there? That means the intelligence is a separate entity. It is a dead entity which is activated by the super soul, and which gives us what we want, which is remembrance, or practical application of knowledge, right? Hey, how should I do this? I want to fix this problem. What is going on? I've been trying for hours. I know, that's it. I need to do like this. Where did this come from? So you take help from the intelligence. So it's a tool. But the observer, the conscious being, is in the background of all of this. It is the most subtlest, and that's why it's so hard to find. It's so hard to realize that what we are, because it's so much behind. And it's shining on the intelligence, it's shining on the mind, it's shining on the senses. Therefore, all these things appear to be the self. Of course, this is very complicated philosophy, and we might speak big words now, and tomorrow we'll be crying because something else. So it's not that easy, But at least, theoretically, we can also discuss. It helps realizations. Okay. So Prabhupada here, he starts with this by saying that we're not the doers. Okay, let's go back to this purport here. Then he says, am I still sharing my screen before I start? No.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, okay. So here I am. Okay, so Prabhupada has said, Ahankara vimudatma kata. We're not, okay, things are happening by material nature. Then, although one is acting according to false ambitions. What is this false ambitions? I shall improve myself. I shall make the money. I shall make happy myself, my family members, I shall counteract whatever diseases are happening or whatever distress. Okay, false ambitions. He thinks he can improve his material conditions by activities. Yes, how come we see people are working, they're getting money, right? So why can't I not improve my material conditions? Okay, let's continue. The Vedas enjoin that one should not try to increase happiness or decrease distress, for this is futile. It is useless. Why is this? Tasefa hetoho prayata kovida. This is a very famous verse. I cannot I do not know the exact number, so I will be cheating here. Kovida. Yes, okay, that's it. This one. Tasyaiva heto prayate kovido. Persons who are actually intelligent. Okay, who wants to read this?
Hare Krishna, I will read.
Yes.
Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmalok down to the lowest planet Patal. As far as happiness derived from sense gratification is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries, even though we do not desire them.
Okay, so this is a very important point. You see, so okay, first of all, we should be inclined to only endeavor for that principle. So that means devotional service. We should try to attain devotional service. We should try to go back to Krishna, back to Godhead. Okay, that's the ultimate end. Okay, but this is, of course, the further topic. This comes later. So this is the part I'm focusing on here. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time. Just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. So this part here, automatically attaining happiness and automatically attaining miseries, so we don't need to endeavor, that is where the false ego lies. That vimudatma, ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. He thinks he's the doer of the activity. He thinks he's bringing about his happiness and that he is capable of countering his miseries, but that is not a fact. Okay, we're gonna come to some actual examples so that we can try to understand this better. But first, so you see, so on the contrary, here, okay, so Kovida, is it? Yeah. One should work for self-realization, not for economic development, which is impossible to improve. Again, another statement that seems so hard to understand. How come we're not capable to improve? Just look at China. Economic development is booming like anything. Of course, now it has slowed down, but why? They're improving. Okay, all right, now we will come to the example. Without endeavor, one can get the amount of happiness and distress for which he is destined, and one cannot change this. Wow, how come? Why? I'm going to work every day, I'm getting so much money, and I'm buying the iPhone 12, I'm enjoying 12 megapixel pictures and super fast phone. Why is it you're saying I cannot improve? Okay, so example, just like China here. Okay, I'll take China because this is the hell I live in. So they think that they can increase their happiness by this economic development. Is it not? Me, I'm living here, and every single day what I'm hearing is ta 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 ta, those big crane, and I'm hearing renovation left, right, center. Somebody's renovating his apartment. Everybody is always building something here. You have no peace. There is no peace. So you're thinking, I'm working hard. The apartment that we live in, the temple in this complex here, is so expensive because it is like near the center of the city. To buy an apartment here, which is only like 180 square meters, would cost something like $2 million US. Okay, so how much endeavor you have to do to buy this kind of place? Okay. Of course, we have not bought that, we're renting, but even renting is a crazy... So, you're renting this place, you're endeavoring so much to get your happiness, right? And then you think, that's it, now I'm situating near the center of the city, I've got a very good position and all, and what happens? You hear this, you hear that, So, you're actually, although you think you're building so many of these buildings, you think it's very nice, you're always in a position where you're always disturbed because you cannot hear a nice peaceful nature. Actually, what we want is a nice peaceful garden, some fresh air, right? We want to have nice birds singing in the morning, a nice sunlight beaming through the window. Everybody likes these things, but what have they created? A polluted sky that is hard to breathe in. You cannot see the beautiful blue sky in the day. You cannot see the beautiful stars at night. You cannot have a nice chirping of birds. It's always noisy outside. So just see. So although you're thinking that yes, we're advancing, but your happiness and pain are not moving, they're stagnant. In fact, we've read the verses, if you try to increase your happiness, actually you're increasing your distress. Just like in front of the temple here, we have a river that passes in front of the temple. Okay, and they have there are so many boats that just pass every day, hundreds of them, and they carry raw materials, so sand, stone, whatever it is. So to start this business is very expensive because you need a boat. You need a big boat. Some of these boats are very big, so we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, and so definitely you need a lot of money to start that business. So you might think, I'm going to invest that money and I'll be happy because I'm going to be making tons of money, right? Because one contract of going there, taking the raw material, bringing it there, then you're making maybe 1 lakh rupee in one go. So yes, all right, you're gonna make good money, but what is your life? You're living on a stinky, noisy boat. That's your life. You see, so although you're making tons of money, you live on a stinky, noisy boat, which is always shaking, and you're always seeing water, and you're never in the comfort of your home. So you see, so this is how we have to understand. Not that how much money I'm getting. It's not like this. It's how much actual pleasure you're getting, how much happiness you're getting from these things. So although they might be making millions of yuan, what is the use? You're living in a stinky, noisy boat, So there was this one example, this one man, he came to see Prabhupada one time. He was a big engineer, making tons of money. So what was his job? He was a mine engineer. So when they dig holes, it's not simply they blow the dynamite and dig like ants. You need some engineers that go down there and say, okay, here it's weak, we need to put this or so much. So his life is that he's going into the earth. It's such a frightful position to be in the earth. You're in the earth, you're in the dark, it's small. People who are claustrophobic, they would die there. So that's his life. Although he's got a big degree, paid very well, and he's 1 in a million maybe, but still, what is his life? He's got to go down in the earth and in a dark place, in a hellish place. So this is how we have to understand, is that what is our actual happiness in this material world. So okay, maybe we can look at a few verses. I've seen a lot of devotees sharing verse. Okay, let me see. Okay, it's almost 10, so I guess we can. Oh, it's almost 10. Sorry, we've been going quite fast. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Fallen soul. Here you have shed. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen. It's good that you have found that quote. That's exactly the one I wanted to share. We're having a problem. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Somehow I cannot zoom. Why is this? Okay, yeah. So if the husband sees the wife as very beautiful, it is to be assumed that he is too much attracted to her. So yeah, very good. You have found that quote. Okay, Prabhu, but I have a sincere question. Please answer my doubt. I'm greatly appreciative of the fact that people in Kali Yuga all over the world are devoting their lives to Krishna and working with the philosophy of the Bhagavad-Gita in their minds. But will this knowledge last? Okay, first of all, okay, Soham, all over the world, yeah, okay, yeah, it's true, there's many devotees of Krishna, but too few, not enough. And then, but will this knowledge last? Or will it just be a lost phase in man's evolution for the next? I know that Gita reveals a lot of things, but will it be relevant till the end of the world, or will some newer philosophy overtake? Is God an alien? What is this thing? Okay, Prabhu, this part here, okay, maybe it makes sense, but how do you finish? What is that thing? Is God an alien? you first of all, you start by reading Bhagavad-Gita, you chant more, and you start to live a more purified life, then you will start to understand this philosophy. The Bhagavad-Gita is eternal. As Krishna is eternal, similarly his words are eternal. Everything about the Lord is eternal. So the Gita is eternal, but sometimes it becomes polluted. So therefore he says, Dharma samstarpanartaya. He must come back and again speak it, because people interpret, So he will maintain. At the end of Kali Yuga, forget it. There won't be any Bhagavad Gita. So therefore the Kalki Avatar will come and kill everybody. But then again, in Satya Yoga, the knowledge will be back. So it is eternal. It is a cycle, but you should not be... Why are you concerned with what's going to happen with man's evolution and all of this? Why are you so anxious about who's coming next after you? Why don't you take care of yourself? You are in this mess. At the moment, we are all in this mess, and we should learn how to get out of it. Not to be worried of, will the Bhagavad Gita be lost? Will this knowledge? This is under the control of the Lord. It's not within our control. You see.
But if any newer philosophy overtakes, then it will be very clear to mankind that this was just a man-made written book or something. So in that case,
why would it be? If some other philosophy overtakes, okay, you mute your microphone. Okay, you see, just like Buddha came, he overtook with another philosophy. Then Sankaracharya came, he overtook with another philosophy. So why are you following the opinion of those who will be bewildered by such philosophy? Why don't you make up your mind? Why don't you think that, okay, this Bhagavad Gita is what I want to learn from, and then just go with it? Now, if you think that another philosophy is higher, then you go ahead, go with it, and see what are the results. As far as we're concerned, Prabhupada started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That means we speak of Krishna and we accept Bhagavad Gita as it is. And anyway, if you compare Bhagavad Gita to any other book, no book comes even close to it. There's no philosophy that is higher than that. Now, you might accept or not the knowledge that is there, but it's a fact that there's no book that comes even close to Bhagavad Gita.
Prabhu, it's fine, but I was just asking you that will ever modern science disprove or disapprove of the Bhagavad Gita as being true?
They're already disapproving. And not just now, it has always been there. There's an eternal war between demons and demigods. Ravana never approved of the Bhagavad Gita. Kamsa never approved of the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas as a whole. It doesn't matter. It's not that it will be, or it is now, or it is before. We should not care about whatever opinion is there by the demons. We should stay fixed up in our understanding of the Gita. Now the problem is that you're reading a book, written by atheists. So you're reading left and right, and then you become confused because you hear from other persons. You should not hear from anyone else except Prabhupada. That's all. You should simply keep reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and then your faith will be strong. And then you won't be asking questions like, is God an alien? Krishna says, Janma karma chameme devyam evam yoveti tadvataha. What is this nonsense question? Krishna's body, his activities are all transcendental. They have nothing to do with this material world. Now, you might doubt this, but Krishna also says, 9/11, that people who doubt, people who think that I'm a normal person, they're mudha, they're nonsense. Now, there are two opinions here. There are the people who think that Krishna is just a normal person, or there are people who think that Krishna is God. So if we believe that Krishna is God, automatically we must think that the other camp is nonsense. So I prefer staying with this. I see it personally in my life that by chanting the holy name of Krishna, I'm becoming purified and I'm advancing spiritually and becoming more and more convinced, and I understand things clearly. Everything is clear. Whereas if I would chant the name of whoever has written any other book, will I get these things? So I don't care. Therefore, it's very important for us to neglect the envious, neglect all those nonsense demons. Otherwise we'll become deviated. Prabhupada said, even a preacher should not approach demons because he might again be turned into demon. So therefore, the proper way to deal with them is to completely neglect. You don't talk about them, you don't even discuss with them, you don't look at their face even. You just carry on with your devotional life. Okay, Dimitri Prabhu, I saw a video about China before COVID and it's completely covered by smoke, but after the quarantine in a week, buildings and other parts became visible. Actually, yes, it's true that because of the COVID, somehow or other, because I think they closed many factories, and it's a fact that we had last year was actually the most beautiful year that since I lived in China. So I guess it might be related. Yes, Dimitri Prabhu is from Russia. Did the Vedic Indians have no problems? No, they did have problem, but much less than us. Problem. What is problem? First of all, we must find out what is the real problem. Birth, death, disease, and old age. This is the real problem. This is why it is said. Here, you see, 11, 10, 20. So, death is not at all pleasing, and since everyone is exactly like condemned men being led to the place of execution, what possible happiness can people derive from material objects or the gratification they provide? So the real problem is this, death. Today I was driving and I saw a whole truck filled with poor birds. Those poor birds that were going to be slaughtered, but they all look very happy, all very optimistic. So this optimism in materialistic life means animalism. Optimistic means animal. If you're optimistic, no, everything is good, I'll be happy and everything, that means you're an animal because you don't see that death is coming towards you. Like those birds I saw, they were all nicely sitting down in their cage, those poor innocent birds. And where are they going? They're going to get killed. Similarly, we are all lining up. We are also lining up into that, we're going towards death. All of us are lining up at the moment. It's not like we're not lining up and we're not becoming older, right? We're getting nearer. Like the beats of our heart are like the steps of death personifies walking towards us. It's a fact. It's getting closer and closer and closer, So, the verse before that, that's what I wanted to find before. So, who can read this? Anyone?
Even if people know how to achieve happiness and avoid unhappiness, they still do not know the process by which death will not be able to exert its power over them.
You see, so now in this class we've been discussing this, to achieve happiness and avoid unhappiness. We've already discussed that it's not possible. Even that is not possible. But let's say even if you think that you can, they still do not know the process by which death will not be able to exert its power over them. So the real thing is death. So it's not that in Vedic times where people not suffering or everywhere the real problem is birth, death, disease, and old age. As soon as you're in the material world, you're in problem. Even Brahma is in a big trouble because he's also gonna die. Yeah, people are happy with their cars, but now we have to spend hours just for getting to work. Yes, because as soon as you get a car, then you got the possibility of working 100 miles away, right? So you're increasing your trouble by this. Before, people, they were working village-centered life, right? In the village, you have the doctor, you have the school, you have the the place where to buy the vegetables. Everything was there. But now, no, I have a car. I have to drive, 200 miles away to buy my vegetables. I have to drive 100 miles to work. So because you have the car, actually you're increasing your misery. And something I can say about this, my wife's sister, once she came and she came to see my wife and our son, and she took them in the car, and they were stuck in traffic, some little traffic, they were going to the supermarket or something. And then what happened, my wife was there. My wife, of course, she's a devotee. She's got much higher consciousness. So she was thinking, what is this life? Everybody around us, in cars and stuck in traffic and it's hot. And so she was thinking like that. And exactly as she was thinking like that, her sister, materialistic sister, she said, yo che jo hao, which means, isn't it nice to have a car? So at the same time, you can see just the difference in consciousness. Just one is in the mode of goodness. He sees things as they are. My wife, she saw properly, that what is this car civilization nonsense? And then the materialistic sister, it's so nice, we have AC, yeah. So that's material life. You think that I'm counteracting my misery, that is happiness. When misery comes your way and somehow or other you can remove it, it's so nice. Just like you're feeling scorching heat, you're walking, what is this? And then a nice breeze come and you're thinking, that's nice. The meaning of nice is just that your misery has diminished. That's all. It's not happiness. Your misery has diminished. Therefore, that they confuse, They think that this happiness is happiness, but actually it's simply a misery. And how Prabhupada gave a good example before, how they used to punish culprits sometimes is that they would hang it from the feet, and they would dip his head into water. So he's in water like that, he's gonna die, right? And then they bring him up again, and then again like this. So if the culprit that is he's outside of water and he's thinking, oh, now it's very nice, So what kind of position you're in? You're gonna be placed again into water, but this you forget, you forget your precarious condition. So okay, maybe we can read this verse and then we'll continue with the comments and questions. Who would like to read this? I will share screen. Okay, you can see.
A man may carry a burden on his head, and when he feels it to be too heavy, he sometimes gives relief to his head by putting the burden on his shoulder. In this way, he tries to relieve himself of the burden. However, whatever process he devises to counteract the burden does nothing more than put the same burden from one place to another.
So that's how they think, just like this car problem. They thought that the horses is too slow. Oh, now we have the cars. But the problem became something else. Now you have to maintain all these roads, It's so noisy, there's car accidents, we saw, there's traffic jam. So, you're thinking, oh, now if my head feels better. But you don't know, you're going to be feeling pain on your shoulder very soon. So, okay, let's go back in the comment section. I think there's a lot. Sorry. Am I still sharing? Yeah, I'm sharing the. Wow, you have quoted so much. Where was I? Okay, so we'll try to go fast, alright? So here, why do I have compassion towards animals but I don't feel the same towards people? Is it because of envy? So we have seen, if we don't feel compassion towards any living entity, is due to envy. Envy is blocking the way, So yeah, Paradukkha Dukhi, this platform is not easy to achieve, to feel true compassion for every living being, to feel very distressed by seeing them suffer. That will come, by chanting without offenses, we will rise to that platform. Okay, love heals everything. All right. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Krishna is all attractive. If we are all in his Vishvarup, everything beautiful, strong, rich, and so on, good, better, or best thing are of Krishna's. What about bad, ugly, poor, and weak, dirt things that are in his Vishvarup? Yeah, so the Vishvarupa of Krishna can be Prabhupada in the first canto of Shiman Bhagavatam, when there's description of the universal form, Prabhupada says that the universal form can be taken as Krishna's material body. It is not actually Krishna's transcendental Satchidananda body. It is his form in the material world. So it is not actually him. So yes, the ugly, poor, weak, all of this is all in Krishna's Vishvaswarup. It's all part there also. But since Krishna is beautiful, he's all attractive. We're not attracted to the ugly, poor, weak, and dirty, because Krishna is not ugly, poor, weak, and dirty. So you see, so this we can understand this way. We are attracted to beauty. Why? Because Krishna is the center of all beauty. We're attracted to strength. Why? Because Krishna is the strongest. So we're not attracted to weak. Nobody's gonna, hey, I've seen the weakest boxer ever. Oh, really? I want to go see him. Nobody cares. Nobody will buy a ticket. Why? Because we're not attracted. Why we're not attracted? Because Krishna is not weak. So this is how we can understand. Oh Brahma, whatever appears to be, yes, that's the verse I was looking for. Whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy that reflect which appears to be in darkness. So whatever is not related to Krishna is actually illusion. This is Maya. But actually everything is related to Krishna. But when we don't use it in Krishna's service, this is how it is not related to Krishna. Although it's his energy, Krishna doesn't take any interest in it. Okay. Okay. My question, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said a golden age is coming. So is this the golden age because Srila Prabhupada came or yet to become? Yeah, so it started when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago, but we're seeing the very beginning of it, you know. It's going to unfold much bigger. So there's still 9,500 years of golden age. We're at the very beginning. So we have not seen yet what is the epitome of golden age. But still, we got a preview from Prabhupada's, you know, if you look at the footages when Prabhupada was here, if you look at the footage of the Rath Yatra 1972 Golden Gate Park or New York 1975, I mean, these things are amazing, you know. It's not even happening nowadays in ISKCON. So Prabhupada gave us a little glimpse of what's to come. These festivals will be there, and even grandiose, and you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of devotees will be chanting and dancing Hare Krishna. You know, it is said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that Yamaraj will have no more work. That means, you know, sins will be practically eradicated. So it is coming. Are we eternally conditioned soul? Nityabada, as they say. So this is, as I said, is a great topic. I don't want to get at length in this, but Prabhupada said that the constitutional, the soul has got eternal independence. So he cannot be always Nityabada. That's not possible. So we follow Prabhupada. We were with Krishna, we left Krishna, now we're going back to Krishna, and we're going to stay with Krishna. Yes, O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife. Yeah, so if the wife is very chaste and is very pious, then she becomes a great asset in a man's spiritual advancement. That is the whole point of grihastha ashram, is to help one another advance spiritually. So if the wife is very well trained, training for wife means being very chaste and very attached to the husband, you know. So these two things will make a very good wife. And if the husband is very fixed up and he's surrendered to the pure devotee, then marriage life is very helpful for spiritual advancement. Yeah, this is another famous verse, you know, about women not being greedy. You know, of course, this is all a whole other topic. Yes, so this also, the husband, if the husband does devotional service, the wife will also benefit. So that's a very important point. It has a religious duty for a woman is to sincerely serve the husband, behave well toward her husband's family, and take good care of the children. So this, simply by doing this, if she renders service to her husband who's a devotee, she shares the result. You know, this and this should be linked together, because, you know, okay, between the husband and wife, one person is sufficient to execute his devotional service. Okay, because of their good relationship, both of them will enjoy the result. Therefore, if the wife is unable to execute this process, the husband should carefully do so, and the faithful wife should share the result. So it's a fact. So if the wife simply serves the husband, you know, she will also advance. Of course, it should not be taken as an excuse that I don't have to chant 16 rounds. My husband is chanting 16 rounds. No, Prabhupada has not said like that. Okay. Okay, that is very good, Soham. Continue like this. Post more comment like this. Chanting. Okay. Vivek Bindra, business yoga. This, I don't want to even start talking about this. We don't have time anyway. Okay. Okay, we were here. Okay, TSM. Yes. Okay. So this is how we take reincarnation. Okay, please try to put some verses that are related to the topic so that we are not too much diverted. Okay. Okay, this is again. Alright, so I think this is pretty much it. Around the bush, there's a lot of talking happening. concoction. We get many literature, Bhagavad literature 5,000 years old. You have no history beyond. Yeah, you see. So Prabhupada said, this is your concoction. We get so many literatures. On the Bhagavad literature, 5,000 years old. You have no history beyond 3,000 years. Neither even at the present moment you have got such nice literature. When you say that people are very much advanced, who has produced such literature? Where is a book like Shiman Bhagavatam? That's a fact. No one comes even near. Okay, I think there was an argument going on here. Okay, Raina Agarwal. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances of Krishna Prabhupada. My question is, when in the Vedas it is stated that one shouldn't endeavor to increase material happiness or decrease distress, then why at the same time rituals for eliminating some sufferings and getting material boons are also listed? That's a very good question. And the answer is here. So if we cannot increase, right? So why are in the Vedas all these things are there? So here it is. Those statements of scriptures promising fruitive rewards do not prescribe the ultimate good for man, but are merely enticement for executing beneficial religious duties, like promises of candy spoken to induce a child to take beneficial medicine. The whole point is that someone who's attracted to karma kanda, to increase himself materially, will be attracted to read the Vedas. And by reading the Vedas, he will start to understand that, okay, there is such thing as Brahman, or a spiritual existence, which is beyond the material world. So the whole point is for attraction, just like the candy, right? You take the candy, but at the same time, you take the good medicine. So because they come to the Vedas at least, then they will be reading and they will come to understand that they're not this body, they're spirit soul, and this way they will be able to advance. So Krishna is attracting all types of men through Vedic literature, all the different modes of material nature. You know, people are in ignorance, passion, or goodness, it doesn't matter, there's something for them in the Vedas. You know, just like in the Garuda Purana, there's witchcraft. So people who are attracted to witchcraft, they can study this, and at the same time, in the same Garuda Purana, there's speaking about Lord Vishnu. So already you're reading the verses, you're chanting the holy name of the Lord, right? And then in this way you can get purified and you advance slowly in this way. So it's simply to attract, okay? Okay, this we have seen. Nimāi Nitāi Prabhu, you today gave us 3 hours from your important spiritual life. I can't thank you in words. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. This is our very small service we're trying to do. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All to Krishna Prabhupada. So we have to leave. Okay. So I think that's it. So of course we have spoken a lot about the futility of material life. I hope you all know the solution. I don't want to just leave you there with all this negativity about spiritual material life and you don't know the solution. You know, the solution is to come to Krishna, to start to chant Hare Krishna, to surrender to the pure devotee. This is the key, right? We need to chant every day, and we need to follow the program. We need to read Prabhupada books. So this and this should be in everyone's hand. I will stop sharing my screen. Everybody should have these two things, and we should read and chant every day, again and again. So by doing this, we will advance spiritually, and we will realize these things, and we will become disentangled from this material conception of life, and we realize, yes, I'm not part of this material world. I have nothing to do with this material world. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, and my business is to serve him. And in this way we will advance, and we'll realize, I should preach, not just that I keep this for myself and sleep and eat. I should try to share it with others, give it to others. So someone who comes to that understanding that let me try to give this to others, he's realizing really that he's a servant of the Lord. So that is the platform that we have to come. And then, yes, all miseries will diminish. That's a fact. For a devotee, just like this COVID is happening, devotees are almost not feeling it, Okay, COVID is there, lockdown is there, we keep preaching, His Grace Suna Gopal Prabhu has initiated that way of giving classes, online classes. Basically, he brought it to another level. Nobody in the world is doing this while sharing screens and showing verses and having everybody read. No one else. He has put it up, So for a devotee, no misery, he carries on, he's not much affected. And everything come from this. So please read Prabhupada books daily, always. We must keep hearing and we must keep chanting. And in this way, yes, we will achieve success, That is assured. And keep associating with devotees. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you for attending this meeting, and it was a great pleasure that we got the chance to speak. Thank you for giving me this chance to speak on the philosophy. We are all benefited by speaking like this. It's not that I'm speaking and you're hearing, you know.
Krishna in the Bhagavad-Gita says that whoever worships me in a particular form, I will reciprocate to him, even though if he doesn't really worship me with my name.
Where does he say that? Which Bhagavad-Gita?
As it is.
No, he says those who worship other gods actually worships me alone. You know, he's clearly saying that if you try to worship some other god, you're actually worshiping Krishna. And then he says those who worship other demigods, who desire to worship other demigods, I make his fate steady, so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. You know. Anyway, if you want to speak a whole other topic, Prabhu, that's on another class. You know, the class now, the whole topic was about, you know, material existence. So please don't bring questions from outside. I would like to conclude with this verse, and then we will wrap up. So as I was saying, this is also very good for me. So it's not that I'm speaking and you are hearing, it's both of us, we're together in this. You see, when there's a congregation of devotees, their discussion, questions and answers become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such a meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. Real happiness, not material happiness. Okay, 4:22:19. So thank you very much. Please accept my humble obeisances. We hope that we can do this again in the future. So Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Go
Hare Krishna.
Premanande.